If you have unsustainable practices to get your results, you're going to end up with unsustainable results.
The scale went down a lot, but I'm not happy with how I look. It's because your body composition is not in the point where you want to be because you've just spent so much time burning your muscle.
There's such a rush for everyone to get on GLPs because they just don't want food noise. And you can circumvent needing to inject yourselves with GLPs by effectively just hitting your calories.
Get mad at where you're at now. I just think a lot of people are okay with just getting by.
And we have people that have never stuck to a diet ever. They failed every single time. They come in and they're just like, I wish I knew it was this easy.
I'm like, trust me, it does not mean anything. Just stop worrying about it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And we have an amazing episode planned for you today. So sit back, relax, grab the coffee, and let's jump into our primary question out of the mailbag. I've got a trip coming up in just over 4 weeks and want to get ready for the beach. What would you recommend me doing in that short of a time frame?
Yeah, and this is a great question because I know a lot of people are thinking it in different ways, shapes, and forms, whether it is a trip, a wedding, a bachelor. I know we've been talking quite a little bit about this whole getting ready for summer and this whole theme, but to me, what I really read from this question is I've got a little bit of time, not too much time. I don't have 90 days. I don't have a year. It's crunch time. What do I need to do? And I have a saying that I want to, share with you that I just came up with. It is simply eat clean, train mean, and don't do anything drastic. So I'm going to break down each thing here. I truly believe that if you just fully lock in, and this is my greatest tip for anybody who's looking to see success, is just go all in. Say, I'm not going to be 70%. I'm not going to be 50%. I'm not going to be 80%. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to cut out all the cheat meals. I'm going to cut out all the garbage, and I'm going to fully lock in. 30 days from now, you can 100% do some incredible things. Now, what I will say, and this is where my answer gets tough, is it depends on who you are, right? It depends on how much you have to lose. But I would say very comfortably for the average person that I'm trying to talk to, if you were to aim to lose about 1 to 2 pounds per week, you will be very happy with yourself, right? That will be a totally fair amount, and to the point where you lose a lot of fat, but you're not losing too much muscle, right? Because I see a lot of people who will, let's say, just be at a point where they're 230 pounds, you're 230 pound male, and you want to do things really quickly. If you lose 20 to 25 pounds, it's very possible a lot of it will be muscle. And that's where one of my biggest takeaways here is don't do anything drastic. Just do a nice slow deficit to the point where you're losing anywhere between 1 to 2 pounds per week. Really push yourself in the gym. Keep track of everything and make sure you increase your overall movement. And obviously, when it comes down to training mean, I mean 4 to 5 days of strength training per week, getting out for some extra steps, go to 10,000 plus steps, and just be ultra consistent. You will be in a very different spot 30 days from now. But the thing I had to spend more time on, and what I want to really recommend, is that there needs to be something after this trip, right? The amount of people that I see really lock in, lose 10, 15, hey, maybe even 20 pounds, depending on if you have 4 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever the time frame is. The amount of people I see who say, okay, that trip is done, I'm good to go, and just go backwards and then put on the 10, 15, 20 pounds they lost is just absolutely mind-blowing. And the most common mistake I see is the people that end up doing things where they say, I'm so locked in, but I'm just going to starve myself, or I'm going to start to take GLPs and I'm going to start running a ton, but they do it too quickly and they end up losing quite a bit of weight. But then they look at themselves on the beach in the mirror in a dress and they're like, why am I not as happy? The scale went down a lot, but I'm not happy with how I look. It's because your body composition is not at the point where you want to be because you've just spent so much time burning your muscle. And that's where you can't be in too big of a rush. You have to tell yourself, slow down, take a nice, solid, consistent approach. Don't rush the process and just be super locked in. You'll be really, really happy 30 days from now.
Yeah, if you have unsustainable practices to get your results, you're going to end up with unsustainable results. Whereas if you have sustainable practices, you'll be able to sustain the results that do come. So an example, even for me, I want to do a little 6-week shred. I'm looking to do just effectively 7 pounds, 7 pounds. So it's just about a pound a week here. So it's being realistic. It's obviously having that buy-in to the cut and really committing to those calories, really letting myself have that mental buy-in. And especially for you, if you only have 30 days to get ready for an event, you want to look lean, like you can use that motivation. But I think like Kyle said, it's a big mistake to say, okay, well, I'm gonna do 15,000 steps a day. I'm gonna lift every day, no rest days, and I'm only gonna eat vegetables and lean meats, because immediately you're going to resent that. And when you get away from that, even if you are successful at doing that for 30 days, you're just going to blow up after it. So instead you can just say, hey, how can I tighten around the edges? Maybe you've been doing 80-20 rule. So 80% healthy, 20% less healthy, more fun foods. Maybe say, hey, I want to challenge myself. So I'm going to go to 90-10. I'm going to aim to give myself the best, heartiest foods I can eat to really have that balance and still have some flexibility. But that's where I'm going to put more of my effort. I'll increase my step count a little bit to give myself a little bit of a push, and I'm really going to focus on good rest. Like that would be more of a realistic way to push yourself, push that agenda, and get yourself bought into that 30-day time frame. And like Kyle said, if you're executing on those different criteria and you're executing consistently, you can make a lot of progress in a 30-day window. I think people downplay that. And what's important too, as Kyle had mentioned, is like, what is your plan after? Because to me, there's nothing worse than really getting after it, going all in, going hard for a month, falling off, and then not being able to get back in rhythm. Because in your mind, you start to associate your only way to progress is if you're absolutely locked in or you're doing unrealistic measures. So I think that's where that mental reframe is so important. Setting realistic goals, looking at your individual situation and seeing what's realistic for you as well.
And really figuring out what it is that's going to matter most to you is so important. And I just want to talk about some different clients as an example. So even my client David recently, we've been focusing on doing a slight lean bulk, and he wanted to get ready for a trip. And so we had to really lock in and make sure we're increasing calories for him, which is different than a lot of people. But I know everyone's in such a different spot. And that's where I can't really tell you the exact calories you should be having and how much to lose and how much to gain. Like you have to ask yourself what matters most. And for this gentleman, he wanted to look more muscular. He wanted to look more full, right? And for a lot of males, it's actually not like you want to see a flatter stomach, but most people actually don't want to have like a 6-pack of abs, but they also want to have good muscle density, because even let's just say as a male on a trip, you want to make sure you're looking good in a tank top. And like if you're going out to dinners every night, you want to look good in a shirt, right? So it's really about evaluating what you want and what's going to make sense for you. Because like I said, when I have a male come to me, everyone's so different. Like my most recent client, Trey, when we were getting him ready for a trip, it was just all about the fat loss, but maintaining the muscle loss. So we ended up losing 10, 15 pounds. It was perfect. For David, his numbers were very different based off of what he needed and what he wanted. For a lot of females, it'll be completely different. A lot of the focus will be on just feeling and looking strong, not skinny, but also just really getting a flatter stomach and just improving the glutes, right? So it's very important to assess that situation and make sure that the plan that you have is going to fit towards what you actually need, because everybody is so different. But I just can't stress that enough, how important the actual customized approach will be based off of your situation.
Yeah, and be patient with yourself as well. I think people get excited for this. They don't have 100% adherence, or they have one bad day and they throw everything to the side. Like I said, it's fun when you have a little micro window like this, because it can be more scary to say over the next year, I want to lose 30 pounds, as it is in a month to be like, okay, I want to lock in, I want to lose 4 pounds this month. So when you kind of break it down like that, you can use that extra push of motivation, understand that there will be barriers, there will be learning moments as well. There'll be times where things don't go exactly to plan, but what's so important is you just keep trying, you get back on the wagon, and you keep that measure of progress. So I think that was a really fun question. And yeah, just know everything has a push and a pull. The main thing you're going to want to do is get in a deficit. And I think if you get excited to do that by way of a ton of activity, that can be tough, because once you lose that activity, it can be hard to kind of maintain where you're at. But at the same time, even for myself with summer, I like moving a lot more. It's a lot easier to get outside. I don't mind doing extra walks. I don't mind doing other fun activities and sports. And like, obviously I can use that to help aid my cut, because I don't need to take that from my calories as much. So you can also use the opportunity that you have in front of you. And obviously these can be extra edges, but there's always things you want to consider here.
I really have to go back to the whole locking in concept, because even Josh mentioned the 6-week shred he's doing. Yesterday I texted him, I said, hey, I'm getting a donut for a video. And like, did you want one? He's like, nah, like I'm all in on this. Like, I'm okay. Thank you. And there was a lot of other things. He's like, hey, you know what? Let's grab a Fairlife drink. I'm going to, be hungry after volleyball. So we grabbed them from the fridge. Like, he's locked in, right? And I see so many people who will start to deviate even in the very early stages. And for one day, it could just be like those couple mistakes you make. And I'm not saying you can't have any of this. Like if it fits in your macros, like that's fine. But I just see a lot of people, they start to say yes to a lot of things. You know, the weekend comes around, you said you were going to do this. And then like, you're like, oh, I'll have some drinks and I'll go do this. And then it's like, oh, okay, you know what? I'll start on Monday. So just be careful of that. If you have a shorter time frame, the locking in purpose and being all in and just being 100% is so important, because 2 weeks will go by and then you're like, oh, you know what? Like, it doesn't matter. I'll do it for the next trip. I'm going to Mexico again later this year. So like, who cares, right? So this portion of like my tips is honestly probably one of the most important things, and that's how you'll get the best results possible.
All right, and now we're going to jump into our quotes of the week, some quotes that got us inspired, that we've been thinking about, that have been on our mind, and that are potentially making us better. What do you got this week, Kyle?
This quote I have for this week is, when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change, that is when we change. And I just love this quote because I got it, actually, I think it was Dr. Lane Norton who shared it as something I was listening to the other day. And I just thought it was so great because I really am a fan of having like just a fire underneath you to really want to see change. And when you are just kind of, you realize you might be complacent, you're in the same spot, if not worse, and that desire to just become better, to actually change, far outweighs like, you know, just the complacency that we have. You will take action. You will show up, right? And I talk to my clients about this a lot, like, and even a recent conversation I had with my client who, you know, we're looking to just fully commit to this journey and just go all in. I was just like, get mad at where you're at now. Like, get mad at the fact that we haven't fully committed. Get mad at the fact that, you know, things haven't gone our way in the past. Like, to me, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you can find ways to light a fire underneath you, I just think a lot of people are okay with just getting by. And you get to that point where you're just like, oh, you know what? It's all good. I just show up here and there and, you know, I just do stuff when I feel like it. But if you're just like, you know what? I'm desperate to see change and I've got a fire underneath my butt that's just like really pushing me to show up, that's when you start to change. And I think some people are scared of it because they're like, oh, well, I don't ever want to get mad at anything. But I'm like, yo, I'm so mad just not being where I want to be. Like, that to me is what's going to get you to show up. And there's nothing wrong with it, right? I know there's obviously, we talk about loving the journey and being happy with where you're at and being proud but not satisfied. And I do believe all that stuff. But for a lot of you, you just need to get angry. You just need to get fired up. And like, I promise you, when you do, you'll start to see better change and you'll actually commit to this journey long term.
And now for my quote, I have, goals are good for setting direction, but systems are best for making progress. And this is from James Clear. And even we have a fun episode planned for Thursday here. We're going to be going over some like elite knowledge of self growth and development that we found on Instagram, where a bunch of people shared their hacks, and we just want to add our thoughts and go through it because we think it's just like a gem of information. And one of the things was that motivation is a lie. And I think it's true because all the time, I'm sure we all say, like, I just need to get motivated. I just need to get fired up. I just need to somehow have that drive come. But at the end of the day, it's our systems, it's our discipline. That's what actually allows us to make progress, to go forward and actually go in the right direction. And motivation's awesome when you have it, but it's not necessarily something you can count on. It's like a bonus. It's that extra thing. And I think you can use that motivation and set those goals to get an idea of where you want to be, to create some momentum in the right direction. But most importantly, you need systems and tasks. So even for me with my mini cut, I just put a story out today. And if you're not following us on Instagram, you're missing out. So make sure to follow us at Colossus Fit. But I talked about how I've already pre-logged my whole day. So I knew exactly what to order from Chipotle. I knew exactly how much rice to ask for. I knew I could afford extra meat, no side tortilla. I'm actually going to have a barbecue tonight, which will be fun. So I'm going to have one beef burger, one turkey burger. I got that all logged in. I'm not going to have the cheese today, but I've got all my ingredients in there as well. I can enjoy these things guilt-free, and I'll exactly hit my calories. I'll exactly hit my protein because I have that system. So a big goal for me here is going to be to pre-log everything before I eat it. Because if you eat it, then log it. You can change the information in MyFitnessPal or whatever tracker you use. You can kind of blur some lines there, right? And give yourself a false security that you are doing a better job in the cut than you actually are. So instead, for me, I want to play with it, get it down in front, and then it's like following an instruction manual. It really takes it easy. And jumping ahead to my thoughts too, like there's such a rush for everyone to get on GLPs, like Ozempic, Wegovy, all these different things, because they just don't want food noise and they want to be able to hit their calories and eat less and do these things. And to me, like, I kind of found it interesting because for me with cutting, it's always just been a metric of me being like, okay, I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to eat good foods. I'm still going to be full. I'm still going to be able to enjoy eating. I'm still going to have energy I need to train hard. I'm going to have all these things going for me. And you can circumvent needing to like inject yourselves with GLPs by effectively just hitting your calories. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but if you have systems to support you, like even our coaching, we have people that have never stuck to a diet ever. They failed every single time. They come in, they're just like, I wish I knew it was this easy. Like I wish I knew I didn't need to struggle. And honestly, at its core, that's what it comes down to. And like things like this, to me, I'm very food focused. I like it, but I know exactly what I'm having. I knew for breakfast, Greek yogurt, had a massive Chipotle bowl post legs with Kyle. I'm able to have one like protein Fairlife shake in the afternoon, and then I'm going to enjoy those 2 burgers. And I'm happy with that. That's my stamp of the day. Got that all ready to go. I know that exactly it's my calories. I know it propels me forward. And the systems of that make it easy because there's not even a discussion of like, oh, am I going to have a dessert? Should I have an extra snack when I drive by a place? I know it's not even an option. It just really simplifies it for me. So even for you, it's like, how can you simplify your journey? How can you create better systems? And you'll notice a lot of success as a result of that.
Yeah, and it really just comes all down to that discipline. Even like obviously even food noise, right? It'd be easier for me to be like, oh, well, I don't even think about it anymore. But I'm like, what am I learning here? I'm just learning that if there's a problem here, I'm going to go take something to help me with that solution. I'm like, I'd rather just build the habits, build the discipline, and just like become that person that like, I'm good. Like I don't need anything. And I spend a lot of time trying to do that. Whereas like a lot of people are just like, no, you know what? There's a shortcut. It's like shiny object syndrome. They're like, and then unfortunately, those are the people that won't learn long term. And that's my big thing, is just always thinking long term, right? I know it sounds not as sexy as just like, the whole 30-day talk or, 90 days and stuff like that. But I'm just like, okay, if I can just push through and like learn and succeed for this amount of time, like the rest of my life, I'm going to be set up. But I love what Josh said, even like in terms of the motivation side of things. Cause I even thought about it recently. I'm like, I'll be honest, like I'm not entirely motivated to do a lot of things. I just do it. And I just think that a lot of people will look at it and be like, oh, well, you've been training for this long. It must be so easy and you're so motivated. Or, you're a fitness coach, so you get to do this like full time. So like you must always be motivated and fired up. I'm like, honestly, no, it's funny because if I were to give you an example of how I feel, it's just that I don't even think about it, right? Like when it comes down to the consistent walks, when it comes down to having the good solid breakfast and like meals and even the gym, like it's been fun actually. Fun fact, we started putting together a new workout routine. And so make sure if you haven't watched that Thursday episode, we talk like in depth about the perfect workout structure. I've been really excited having a new routine. So that has been fun. But for the most part, I don't go in and be like, I'm so excited. Like this is my favorite thing to do. I'd much rather go play beach volleyball or just like honestly just something different. But it's one of those things, and I think it's because I've done it for so long that it's like not as exciting. But it's not like I show up each week and I'm like, oh, should I go? It's like, no, this is a part of my identity. This is what I do. So I love that point of just that motivation is a lie, because it's easy to rely on for a little bit, right? In the first year of my journey, I was obsessed. I was so motivated. It was just like, that was everything. I was hitting drop sets with the boys. We're learning new things. Like it was so exciting. And I think a lot of people, they really rely on that. And then when I talk to them years later, they're like, yeah, like I used to be fit. And back in high school, I used to do all this stuff. And then they just forget about it and they fall off. So I don't even think about it anymore. I know we love Motivation Monday and we always want to fire you up, but you have to really find those internal things that keep you going long term to see that success.
All right. And now who do we got for our client shout out?
This week, we wanted to shout out all of you amazing, hardworking fathers for Father's Day. So hopefully you had an amazing Father's Day weekend. You guys deserve it. And honestly, we love working with amazing dads who are looking to get to the next level, who obviously have a lot of things on their plate. And we all know, like, there's a lot to balance between obviously work, between being a present father, and just trying to be the best version of yourself for yourself, but also your family. Like we know fitness can be hard to fit in a lot of the times. And we've had somewhere over 1,000 amazing fathers come into this program and succeed. And they've really just loved having the accountability. But I just want to give you guys credit where credit's due. I know it's not always easy. I know there's always different challenges as a father that can be brought upon you, just trying to keep everything in order. But yeah, just wanted to say a huge shout out. And to me, there's nothing nothing better than the wins that keep coming through. Like the consistent fathers that say, hey, I'm a better father because of this. I'm more present. I'm getting my workout in the morning so I can be present later on. I have more energy. I have more strength to carry my kids. I'm able to do more sports. I feel more confident. I'm that dad that I'm playing with my kids, whereas everyone else is sitting on the sidelines. You guys are all amazing. And what we want to do is, if you're not in our coaching program as a father, we're actually looking to take on 3 of you to help you become the best version of yourself, to ultimately get rid of that dad bod. And honestly, like, I want to be more open about this. To me, there's nothing worse than not feeling like you're living up to your own potential, to be that person on the sidelines, to be carrying all this extra weight that you're not happy with, that you're just saying, oh, well, it's just here because, you know, life got up to me, because I've got kids, because I used to be in shape when I played football, or whatever the case is. So if you're wanting to see change and get accountability, message me Father's Day promo to Instagram at Colossus Fit, COLOSSUSFIT. You deserve to be the fittest version of yourself and the best possible father, and I cannot wait to help you out.
Yeah, don't pass up on this. I think Kyle nailed it, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And they always say on airplanes, right, when you're going down, you want to put on your mask first. I think it's too easy to want to like focus on all the different components of being a father, or earning money, or doing whatever it is, or fixing stuff, whatever it is fathers do these days. But to put fitness to the side and health to the side and say, I'll worry about it later. But one thing we've always liked to say, if you don't make time for health, health will make time for you, unfortunately. And it's a great thing to get in front of it, to be active, to be strong, to feel your absolute best. Like, especially if you're someone who feels like you've just gone downhill since college or high school and you feel like you haven't been able to figure things out, we'd love to help you with that. We have this special promo. First 3 fathers to message us can take advantage of this amazing deal, and we look forward to helping you out. But now we're going to jump back into the mailbag for our second question, which is, I've been seeing some great progress in my weight loss and strength, but find I'm not sore or don't sweat from my workouts. What am I doing wrong?
This is a great question. I just actually have to pull up my client's spreadsheet who asked this. He asked me in a check-in, so I kind of paraphrased it. This is my client, Vincent, and he's actually gone down 20 pounds in 8 weeks, which is amazing. About 19 pounds, actually. He sent me his photos yesterday. I'm like, and I put them side by side. I'm like, bro, we are moving in the right direction. I was really happy to see it. But it was funny. It was a great question because he's been following the strength training program. He's been seeing incredible results. If you calculate it out, it's about an average of 2 pounds per week. He even actually, funny enough, went on a trip, and before he was debating signing up, he's like, maybe I should wait till after. And then during the trip, he kind of maintained and actually even slightly lost weight, came back, and he was like, I'm so happy I joined because he was really health conscious there. He didn't go backwards. Anyway, so to give you a long story short, when it comes down to sweating, when it comes down to soreness, these are not the best indicators of progress. These are just random metrics that you can kind of skew in whatever way possible, right? And I always like to use the example that if you were to become sore, like I could simply give you a new exercise and just say, hey, you've never done this exercise before, go do it. You will 100% be sore from that. And even sweating, I use this example. Like if I were to say, hey, go jump up and down for the next hour, and you'll be sweating buckets, right? And basically, to give you a long story short, I have 2 really great informative videos where I break down the science of sweating and soreness. It's about 6 to 8 minutes long each. If you want to see it, check that out. It's on our YouTube channel. But even sweating, everyone's systems run differently, essentially, to make it sound less complex. And it is literally does not mean anything, right? It just basically depends on how your body lets out heat. And honestly, everybody is so unique within the way that their bodies run. So I see a lot of people just like, even when I used to train people in person, they'd be like, having the best strength training workout, and then they'd see another one of my clients who would just always be sweating. They're like wondering what's wrong with them. I'm like, trust me, it does not mean anything. Just stop worrying about it. But then going back to the other side of things, even soreness, once again, everybody's so different. And I think a lot of times people feel like they're not making progress because they're not sore. Now, the one thing about soreness is that sometimes it will tell you that you're working the right muscle group. So let's say if you had an amazing glute day and you're really sore in your glutes and you had some amazing exercise programmed, then that's awesome. It'll kind of tell you that you were doing things pretty accurately, and that you're in a good spot there. But realistically, it's just not a great measurement tool. I don't really think about it too much. And yeah, it's one of those things that a lot of people are trying to chase. I think some people are like really scared of it, but then there's also people who are just kind of like really tying their whole identity and progress towards soreness. And they're wondering, like, I've been asked this probably 50 times to 100 times now over the years, like, hey, I'm on this program. Why am I not sore? And when you realize how many deeper levels and how many random things that need to take place for soreness, it doesn't really matter for progress, right? As long as you've got good progressive overload, as long as you're following a strict program and everything that we talked about in Thursday's episode, then you'll be good long term.
Yeah, Kyle nailed it there. It's mainly just a response, obviously, to break down your muscles, and anything you do that's new. If you ever like just move a bunch of stuff or do something awkward or try a new activity like kayaking, you'll get really sore because you're recruiting new muscles, they're breaking down, they're healing, trying to get stronger for that task. And that's effectively what it is. So most often when you start a new workout block, it'll tear you up, you'll get super sore, and people will go away from that and they'll want to just change things to change things. But instead, you should be embracing the fact that you're not getting sore, and you should be trying to become masterful in those movements. You should be trying to get stronger. You should be trying to maximize your form. You should try to get the most pump, right? It's just comforting to have that immediate feedback of soreness, especially if it's showing you are indeed working the right muscles. If your back and biceps are really sore after a pull day, that's a good sign. If your chest and legs are really sore, that is not a good sign, right? So that is the one thing you can kind of know is like, am I actually working the right areas? But after that, you really just want to focus on, am I getting better? Am I getting stronger? Am I pushing myself? Is the quality of my reps going up? Because that ultimately is what will make you increase muscle, not just you changing exercise every week, getting sore. That's not how it works. You're going to get more out of becoming masterful in those movements, lifting heavier, lifting with better form, and really improving the mechanics of each exercise. So that's where I find people really will overdwell on this and overdwell on the sweatiness of it. And instead, you just want to focus on good, boring quality training.
Yeah. And if you just even decide to like just change your rep scheme one day, like let's say you're so used to doing the 5 rep range for stiff leg deadlifts, and then you just happen to bring it up to 15 reps, like you'll become sore. But that doesn't mean the workout was great. That doesn't mean you're making progress. Like you just changed one thing. And even the other example, like I ran for the first time in like a year, like last week, and I was so sore in my legs and my glutes, my upper back too. Just for some reason, I get sore up there, and my calves. And like, once again, it's easy and fun to chase and be like, man, I'm so sore. You want to tell everyone about it. People get excited. And it's funny because when you think of the fitness journey, a lot of people love to talk about it. Like you go into work, you're limping a bit. People are like, what's wrong with you? You're like, I just had a killer leg day, or I just went for a run. And it's like fun to talk about. But like, just because I went for a run because I haven't done it in a while, that doesn't mean I'm making progress. I burned some calories. Who knows? I could have even eaten all those calories back. Like it's just a lot of people put so much stock into this, and I just want to show you some different examples of how it can take place and how it really doesn't actually mean a lot for actual progress.
Now we're going to jump into our third and final question on the mailbag, and that is, how do I get better at saying no? I always have the right intentions, and then I really struggle with saying no to things that are holding me back.
Just say no. That's my answer there. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, another great question. This actually came from a client, and I gave her a lot of specifics based off of her situation. She's very social. She has a lot going on. She's got grandchildren on the way. Awesome. Shout out. You know who you are. But when it comes down to it, I had to really have that talk and mention like, you need to prioritize yourself. Like you matter. And I think so many people get pulled in, and even for her, she would say like, I just had the right intentions, and then I got pulled into doing this thing that I wanted to do to please other people. And like, once I started to give her this advice, I think it, clicked quite well. But I just really believe that, and it may sound selfish, but like, you are the most important person in this world. How you perform, how you think, you become the best version of yourself, and you can take care of others when you're operating at your best. And like, I'm at a point where I want to do things that I value. And I feel like it is so important to remember that and to be able to just consider that. And this question came in a lot of different ways, such as like, for example, social events. She was getting dragged into a lot of things that she wasn't looking forward to, and then just kind of happened to say yes. And then it just like brought her down. But also, if you're out and someone's pushing something on you, whether it's a drink, whether it's food, this is another thing that we could talk about. And I want to give you a practical takeaway. I just really believe that if you were to say no, that is totally fine, but just give a little bit of an explanation, right? Just to make people feel like, hey, they understand. And, for example, if it's like a specific food or a specific drink, I think a lot of people get awkward with this, where it'd be like, if someone says, hey, we're going to the boat for the day and like we got drinks and this and that, and you're just like, no, I don't want to come, like it's a bit weird. But if you say, hey, no, like, sorry, I've got my workout today, I'm going to spend time working on myself and whatever, I think it's a lot, people are a lot more understanding. And even when it comes down to food and drinks and whatever it is that things often get pushed upon you, just a simple, hey, you know what? I'm really serious about my fitness journey. No, I'm okay. Like, I'm going to pass. I've already eaten my food for the day. I just think that alone makes it so much easier. I don't believe you should ever have to explain yourself to someone, but I do think that just a little bit of, wording just to make it seem like you're not brushing people off, or that, you never get invited to something again. Like, you don't want to have to go down that path. But I just think realistically realizing, and I said this to my client, like, you're important, right? You have a lot on the go. And if you're always just being pulled in different directions and you're doing stuff you don't enjoy, then to me, it's not worth it. Like, it's not fun. So that's my biggest takeaway. I'm not saying you can never do anything, and you should say yes to things, of course, that you value. Like, that is the most important thing that I wanted to share with you. But that's my answer for that question.
Yeah, if you want to improve it, saying no, I recommend adding friction. So for example, if you're going over somewhere for like, let's say you're going for a board games night at some friends, and they're ordering pizza, you don't really want the pizza, you don't want to fit your calories. Instead of you just like eating nothing and planning on eating when you get home, or having a slice of pizza, maybe you have bad restraint and you find when you do that you can't stop. You could add friction to that event by eating a big meal at home and being like, oh, I actually ended up cooking at home because I'm doing this fitness thing, I'm trying to be really healthy, and I'm stuffed. Because if you are stuffed, that pizza is going to appeal to you way less than if you're super, super hungry, right? So there's so many good ways to add friction in that regard. Or if you want to go and just have a slice or two of pizza, that's your intention, you've tracked it in, it's good. You get in front of that by having some protein in advance, hydrating, having those two, cutting it off, not even letting it be an option. Like, any way you can add friction, it makes it so much easier. If people are drinking and you go out and you say, hey, I'm not drinking, I'm sober tonight, people will respect that. If you say that right at the starter, if you say, oh, I'm only having a couple, some people will push you, they'll challenge you, they'll try to kind of push you down the wrong path, especially if you're more easily influenced. So I think it's easier when you have a good plan, you add that friction, you find ways to make it easier for yourself, or you say, hey, I'm DDing tonight, so just take that option completely out of there. Like, there's some really good ways to add that friction, and obviously you need to look at it for your own specific situation, but to me, that's something that helps. Or you can add solutions too. If you're going to a barbecue, I mentioned the other week, like, you could bring your own meat, or say, like, can you throw this on for me? Like, I'm trying to get shredded. Like, just if you cook this chicken breast or whatever. And obviously it depends, some people that'd be weird to do, but if it's like close friends, you can do it. But case in point, there's always examples. Even before like dinners and stuff, I've had like a whole chicken breast, I'm really full, so I know I wouldn't go crazy if it was something like a buffet or whatnot, or at that buffet using best practices of having a lot of lean meats, a lot of veggies, and then getting into everything else. Like, all these are different tools that you can have in your back pocket that can absolutely lead to some amazing progress.
Yeah, and I've had discussions with quite a few clients who have just struggled in different ways to say no. They've been pushed around a lot, and it's tiring when you're just like a yes person, right? And I think that's where at some points you just have to put your foot down. And I like Josh's point as well. And I was even thinking, like, proposing different alternatives is also a great thing. Like, a friend recently said, hey, we're going out, usually it's pretty late, and I'm not a late night person, I'm not a drinker, just not something I was looking forward to exactly. And I proposed a workout, right, to celebrate. And I just think there's a lot of different things that can be done where it's like you're not blowing someone off, but it's like, hey, there's something else, like whether it be like, hey, propose an activity, depends on the friend group and who they are. But I think that's always a great option if something that you're being invited to isn't in line with what you want to do or what you can do, and really just throws you off timing wise, and you just feel overwhelmed. Like, there's a lot of other alternatives, and I've done that many times where be like, hey, we can't do this, but like, we should get a lift in, and people love that, right? Because that's what I love doing, and that's what I prefer to do, right? So I just want to share, there's a lot of different options out there. You don't have to just be a no person. You don't just have to be a yes person. You could be a let's look for different options type of person, and that to me is the best way to approach it.
And there you have it. That is today's episode. Thanks for spending some time with us, learning, growing. If you want to become an ultra jack father and get back to the best shape of your life and beyond, this is your chance to do so. Message me on Instagram saying Father's Day promo, or apply apply through my website, klossfitness.com. We also have all the links for all the different topics and resources we talked about in today's episode. So be sure to check out those. But thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.